Russian truck legend Kamaz has unveiled the truck that it hopes will take the Red Bull-backed squad to a remarkable 14th victory on the Dakar Rally next year, which runs through some of the most inhospitable terrain in South America. Before making the trip across the Atlantic, the new truck in stunning monochrome will make its first international appearance in the upcoming Silkway Rally. Team Kamaz will race from Moscow through Kazakhstan to Beijing, covering over 10,000 kilometres in 15 stages. The Silkway Rally will be the team's biggest challenge and best opportunity to test its new weapon before the South American adventure next January.
Это наш новый автомобиль, который мы еще.
This is our new vehicle that we built last year. We did all the initial work on it back then, but we are still a bit late for the Dakar Rally. I mean, we saw it wasn't ready yet, and so decided against taking the risk. So we took the vehicles we already had, the cab-overs. This vehicle's got the engine in front of the cab, so it's kind of similar to the trucks our main competitors drive. And especially our main adversary, Gerard Deroy. He's always singing praises to his truck, saying it's the best truck there is. And even in this interview, you can read about how when he was asked whether he'd ever want to try a cab over, he said no. So we too decided to explore this option. Unlike the trucks that have gone before it, this latest Kamaz Master, based on the Kamaz 4326 chassis, has a long cab with a prominent bonnet. And this will allow it to stay at the cutting edge of the technological arms race that characterizes the closely fought truck category in the Dakar.
Основные технические изменения – это, конечно же, кабина, двигатель и связанная с этим система.
The most significant technology change, of course, has to do with the cab. The engine and all the systems linked to them, like the engine cooling system. The turbocharger, those all had to undergo huge modifications compared to the previous truck. Some changes had to be made to the weight distribution in this new truck. We tried to take as much load as possible off the front of the vehicle to improve off-road performance.
Лучших ходовых качеств по бездорожью.
В салоне, значит, самое первое отличие бескапотников то, что экипаж.
In the cab, the main difference from the cab-overs is the seating arrangement for the crew, the mechanic and me. We now sit in the middle, while the navigator sits on the right. This is the most salient difference. We're going to see if this arrangement is going to work out for the navigator and the mechanic. Once we drive in the Astrakhan race, we'll have a pretty good idea about whether this arrangement works for us. Why did we pick it? Because now the crew member sitting in the middle is the mechanic, and he sits deep inside the vehicle. And if the navigator was sitting back there, he wouldn't see as much outside the vehicle, so we put him on the right, closer to the hood and to the window, that he can open and get a better view of the road. And the mechanic, he has to be keeping an eye on the instruments. Seeing the road is not that important for him. He needs to be watching the engine parameters, tire pressure and the like. Giving the new truck its debut in Russia was Eduard Nikolaev, a two-time Dakar winner with Kamaz. The first thing you notice about the new truck is that the ride is smoother for the people in the cab, for the crew. Because whenever we hit a bump or something, the shock doesn't go straight up into the spine as in the cab-over configuration, where you're sitting on top of the axle. Here, the shock goes into the engine, so the impression you get from this vehicle is that you're driving in a big SUV, like a Humvee or something, only larger. And I really liked it a lot. Edik Nikolaev and I, we drove it on sand and on hard surface roads. It's a very promising configuration. Interesting, quite different from our cab-overs. So now it all boils down to performance, whether it's going to be faster or not, and that will only be clear after we drive it in a real race. So far, we've been quite pleased with it. While the truck is brand new, its awesome performance is familiar. The Kamaz Master Kapotnik, as it's called, still maintains four-wheel drive, while a brand new 12.5-litre diesel engine propels it to speeds in excess of 160 kilometres per hour on more or less any surface. We've driven both this conventional configuration and in my cab over. The conventional truck is great on fast winding roads. It really drives like a car. You get a very good sense of what's happening to the rear axle, so you can drive faster on a winding road, and on rough terrain it's very comfortable, so you can push it harder and drive faster over small bumps. The crew are much more comfortable, so they tend to drive much faster. There are some inconveniences on sand, of course, because you've got the hood here in front of you, but you get used to it pretty fast, like in 1 or 2 days of test driving. And before long, you simply stop noticing it. So the truck's been doing just fine so far, and we hope to improve its reliability too. We're going to make some adjustments to the design, and we hope that by the Silk Road race, we'll have all these teething issues ironed out. In the belly of the beast is a 1,000-litre fuel tank, which enables it to keep going all day and much of the night. Putting the 980 horsepower on the ground is a 16-speed ZF transmission. The upcoming months will be key for the team as they put their new truck to the test in every occasion possible. Next up will be the Silkway Rally starting in Moscow.